Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraff.
And I'm Cathrine, co-host and bestie.
Welcome to the Pod Lab, Cathrine.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
We just got back
we
from
landed
Florida.
just a couple hours ago, a few hours ago now.
Yes, we did. And here we are back in the Pod Lab. It's like a full circle. We quickly recorded last week's episode on the 90s right before we left because we had to get it in. And then we're back at a week later. We were in Florida for a week for a girls' trip.
Right.
And we decided that this week's episode would be about the benefits of a girls' trip. Mm-hmm. Taking a trip with your gal pals.
Yeah, because there are benefits.
Many.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
And if there weren't any, we would make some up.
Yes, we would. But what's not to love about a girls' trip?
Yeah.
So if you're just tuning in for the first time, we say, welcome aboard. We're just two best friends that decided over the pandemic to create this podcast because all the comedy was shut down and I wasn't able to get out there and do any events and Cathrine wasn't able to go with me. And it was suggested to us that we do a podcast. And so here we are. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Right.
I hope you're loving it, friends. So keep listening. Keep tuning in. A whole bunch of people listened to our episode last week.
Yeah, I saw that. We had a big spike.
We had a big spike, and we have some spikes occasionally, and I have no idea why. I have no idea.
We got to figure that out. We're going to take one of their webinars.
Yeah, we will figure it out because, you know what? Somebody's got the answers, and by golly, all we have to do is ask them.
Yeah.
So we're going to figure that out. But
we'll get there.
Yeah, let's get to this topic. Oh, before we do, though, Cathrine, please tell our listeners about our sponsors because we do have some.
Our sponsors help us to move forward in this ministry by financial support. $5 a month is typical. It's what we're asking for, and hopefully we'll be able to get better equipment, things like that. And they could do that right on Patreon, or they can do it from your email, YouTube. It's very easy.
It's in the show notes.
In the show notes, yeah.
The link to the Patreon page is in all the show notes of all the episodes. So just click there and, follow the prompts in the link. You only have to do it once. Mm-hmm. And then every month, $5 comes out of your account. You won't miss it. Trust us.
No. And if you get the little messages that say, like if you pay with PayPal and it says, your PayPal was charged $5. Just try to remember it's probably for this.
Yeah. And as Cathrine said, what we plan to do with that money, once we get enough of it, is upgrade our equipment so that we have a little bit of an upgrade there, and perhaps, do some training or maybe get an intern or something. And we're just going to work on improving the podcast. And if you don't want to use Patreon, you can make a one-time gift just by messaging us and sending us a check or whatever, because there are a few people that are doing that, and we thank them for their support as well. Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's get to it. Episode number 121 is on deck.
Can't believe.
We're
doing pretty good.
This
is a good commitment.
This is the most consistent we've been at anything in our entire life. Well, except for marriage.
This is true.
And our friendship.
Yeah.
So that's good. All right. Well, we do have a few takeaways. We always like to jot down a little outline here. So these are the takeaways from this episode. Number one, we're going to kind of go over this article called Girls' Trips Really Are Good for Your Health. It's by Stacy Fentuck. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's either Feentuck or Fentuck or Tooch. I don't know. It's one of those.
Yeah, it looks like Feentuch.
Okay, Feentuch. And it's at healthywomen.org. I always like to credit those who are created this work, since I'm also a creator. And I'm working on that distribution contract. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we got to credit the work. Anyway, this article just goes over a lot of reasons why girls' trips are good for your health. So we're going to talk about that. And we will put that in the show notes so that you can read the full article on your own. And then I'm going to ask Cathrine what her favorite parts of our trip that we just took were. And it's so fresh. It's so fresh on our mind since we just walked in the door, basically, haven't even unpacked. And then she's going to ask me what my favorite parts were. And then finally, we're going to go over a few tips. Like if you girls are planning on taking a girls' trip, some tips, helpful tips from us.
Yeah.
And then we have a little scripture to share that I think you'll love. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
All right, Cathrine, let's talk about
All right,
this
let's
article.
go. And if we sound rushed, it's because, as Tracy said, we literally just got in the door, didn't even really unpack. I whipped up some dinner. Kenny is saying he's on his way home. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have got to be home.
And he bought flowers.
He did. He bought me some
at
flowers.
home already, or is he on his way with the flowers?
No, they were there with a little note when I got home, and it said, "Welcome home, Pooh." I miss you.
Oh.
And they were pretty.
Yeah, hurry up. We got to hurry up. She's only got 40 minutes and she's got to be put that apron on and go.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, what are we saying?
Okay, we're starting out with this article about girls' trips really are good for your health.
Yeah, and this picture shows some older ladies, and they're in there in a boat, and they're rowing, and all looks so fun, right? And it says at the end of the paragraph, even science is now telling us that we're healthier and happier for doing so, for taking gal pal trips. And it doesn't have to be fancy or elaborate, just a few days away. And we took a whole week.
We did, which I felt like when we first booked it, first of all, tell our friends how we managed to book this trip, what the circumstances were.
Well, we were all together. We were playing cards with our friends and our husbands, right?
Right. So there were 3 couples, 3 women, 3 men. We're all couples.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron and I were bored. And I said, let's call our friends and invite them over. So they came over and we were playing games.
Yeah. And somehow the subject came up, and then... and so we kind of put the hubbies on the spot, like, hey, do you mind if we go? And then they were like, yeah, sure. So then we were all in on it.
Yeah. And our friend Angie, she pulled out her phone and booked our tickets right there.
Yeah.
And then,
right.
And we just paid her for the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So it was sort of spontaneous in a way. We'd been talking about it for a number of years because our friend Angie, her mom lives in Venice, Florida.
Right.
And Angie had said, why don't we go and visit my mom, together and make it like a girls' trip? Well, one thing happens, you're trying to find the time, whatever, and we didn't get around to it. And then here we are on just a spontaneous night of playing games.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, it's like booked.
Bada bing, bada
It's
boom.
booked.
It was done.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
they talk about this study, and I love that they have a scientific study here in this next paragraph of this article. This author, she talks about this study that was published in Behavior, and it was all about oxytocin.
Right. And it also talks about why friendships are so important, and that, there's a neurotransmitter known as the love or trust hormone. And it's released when this oxytocin is released in your brain.
Yeah.
Or hanging out with your friends can help release that.
And it makes you feel happy. And, laughter is huge for those happy feelings and that euphoric feeling.
Yes.
And I had said to Cathrine before we left for this trip that I'd been praying that we would laugh so hard, like super hard.
We did. Oh my gosh.
We laughed so hard it hurt. It did.
Yes, I would agree. Right.
It did. And, Angie's mom, who's 85, it's her birthday on Friday, I thought it was. Thursday or Friday?
The 28th.
The 28th is her birthday, and she's turning 85, and she was cracking up.
Oh, yeah.
She was
she was a hoot.
At one point, we were all playing games at the house there, and Angie and Cathrine and I were acting like little teenage girls.
Oh, yeah. So funny.
It was funny.
And her mom's name is Joan. She said, how old are you girls?
yeah, because we sounded like giddy teenagers. And we're almost 60.
It was so funny. But it's interesting. It says here in this article, more oxytocin is released when you're with your friends. And that can make you feel happy, trusting, generous, and friendly.
Yeah.
So.
And I looked at this scientific article just a little bit, and it said that they were studying the effects of relationships with friends as opposed to just the relationship between spouses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I thought was interesting because we all kind of commented on how we were being silly. We were laughing at a lot of things.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was also a benefit, I think, of our girls' trip was just the low key around meals.
Oh, my gosh.
Right?
Yes. Like the one night we just had egg salad sandwiches.
Yeah, and we were fine with it.
Totally fine with it. Whereas, Kenny doesn't mind that here and there, but he would appreciate a meal when he comes home from work,
Yeah, and I do think that some of the pressure is self-inflicted.
I agree. Yes.
Right? Because we're women and we feel like that's our contribution. Or, I know that's not 100% of the time the case, but all I'm saying is that with the four of us ladies, we were totally fine with just having one meal a day.
That too.
And then,
right.
Just kind of filling in the
Snacks.
gaps with snacks the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Where when you're with a family, when you have children with you, those creatures eat. Like they're used to eating, and you got to feed them right away or they're crabby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's what it feels like anyway.
Well, I took a trip many years ago with my whole family, and it was my sister and I. And both of our families and our dad and our brother and his. Okay, so my sister and I were the only two females, adult females, right? The rest were all kids. Had my 5 boys and my nephew, and oh gosh, so many kids. And Kelly and I cooked like the whole time.
Of course you did. Right.
And we were just like, oh, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
It's a lot of cooking.
Oh my gosh. Well, even when you go on, like, say, camping trips or anything, even if the guy will do some of the grilling or whatever, you're the one that goes and shops for the stuff. You prepare, you do all the stuff. So this was nice because we didn't do any of that.
No, it was just a nice little break from the routine.
Yeah, it was one big benefit, that's for sure.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what else about this article?
It says good friendships may make you healthier. Talks about that you can live longer.
Love that.
Yes.
That's a win.
And older adults who felt strain in their friendships were more likely to experience chronic illnesses, while those supported by their friends were happier. So,
I think that as we grow older, it would also ward off just the feeling of loneliness. There's often times when you may not be alone, but you can feel that feeling of loneliness, where if you're engaged with friends and friendships, I think you're just more in touch. And so perhaps you may be living alone, but you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because people are checking in on you.
Yeah.
And while we were there, our friend's aunt also lives in the community, and she had a knee replacement done, and she had a whole bunch of people checking in on her.
She sure did.
And I would imagine if that was us, we would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Oh, I like this next one. The next paragraph says, your squad, they call it the squad, like your gal pals, it may help ward off dementia.
Yeah.
And that's based on another study.
That's a huge thing right there.
It is huge. It says that another study found that loneliness can increase your risk of dementia. So you don't want that. And when I think about loneliness, I think it skips hand in hand through life with depression. Loneliness and depression are pals. And you don't want that.
Right.
So build connections. Friends are worthwhile investments. They really are.
Definitely.
You're welcome. Friend. We only had like an hour or so, whatever it was, between getting dropped off and starting this recording. And I text Catherine, you miss me yet?
Yeah.
I'm coming to get you.
Hilarious.
Come on over.
Right. Well, and it also says here that sure, the scientific benefits of girls' trips are pretty awesome, but let's not forget some of the non-scientific reasons we love getting together with our girlfriends. Relaxation, laughter, and memories. Memories are huge.
I think so too. I mean, we were even doing the airdrop thing of the pictures while we were in the airport waiting for our flight, and just reliving through pictures
was bringing back
it was
the
hilarious
moments. Oh my gosh.
So funny.
Oh gosh, we had a lot of really good laughs.
Oh really,
we did. And some one-liners.
We can't even say some of them.
No, we can't.
Because it was that much fun. Anyway.
Well,
Okay. So then the article ends with, so what are you waiting for? Go text your girlfriends and set up the date for your next trip.
Yeah.
So with that, and I will link this article to our show notes to promote this healthywomen.org as well as this author, Stacy Feintuck. All right, Cathrine, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What were your favorite parts of the trip that we just took?
My favorite parts were the laughing.
Oh,
so,
100%.
all the things were nice. It was great to go to, we just went to, there's a really nice pool there.
Yeah, like a resort.
The community pool that is only for the residents. And it was so nice. So just kind of waiting around in the pool on the little floaties. That was nice. Going to the beach was nice. The sightseeing. But the best moments were when we were just sharing things and deeper connections, and then the laughing.
Yeah.
And playing the games at night.
Yeah, the games
so we played
were
cards
fun.
and things like that. And we were, like you said earlier, just acting silly.
Yeah.
And at one of those moments, that's when Joan, she's so sweet too. And when she said, "How old are you girls?" She said it because she knew it was funny.
Yeah,
to say that. And
I think she was quite enjoying watching us be goofy and she was chuckling right along with us.
She was.
Yeah.
She was. And I think one of the things that made me laugh the hardest was when our friend Angie did this little gesture.
Yeah. When we were playing games.
Yeah, and it just struck me as super funny.
Yeah. Angie is very funny. I mean, I love hanging out with her. She cracks me up.
I know.
Oh, and by the way, the games that we were playing, mostly we played Sequence. Which is a really fun game.
Oh, yeah, I really liked it.
I'm going to have to get that game.
I'm getting it too.
And then we also played one round of Phase 10, which was fun too. Those are both fun games for anybody.
Yeah, we were going to play Skip-Bo, but we weren't.
We were just kind of into the Sequence.
Yeah, we were. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it for your favorite things about it?
That's all I can think of right now.
What would you say were any obstacles or barriers to going on trips in the past, or if somebody's listening and thinking, I'd love to do that, but
besides money.
Yeah, money.
Besides money,
that little thing.
I think it's really hard to carve out in between. Well, the more you have going, the more schedules you have to work with.
Yeah.
So if you're going to stay with someone, then it's that person's schedule. If you're working or you've got commitments, then there's that too. Working that out where it all works out at the same time. That's hard.
Right.
And if you have younger kids, or even our kids are older, but they still have needs. Angie's still
she still has kids at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So those things are challenging. In my case, I had training right before, and then I have this job that I have to start right after. So there's that too.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's just tricky to schedule it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's true of many of us,
Women are so, we have so many things that we juggle all the time.
Yeah, we do.
So that's, we have a lot of commitments, and we have a lot of things that we're involved in too.
Yeah.
So,
this is the first girls trip that I've taken in a very long time. It's the first ever that I've flown somewhere. I went on a girls trip many years ago with my college or post-college roommates up to Wisconsin, but we drove there,
Yeah.
And it was just a weekend. So this was the longest trip I've taken, and the only one that I've done where I've had to fly there, and I think that in my prior years, it would have been just really more difficult to juggle having 5 children and managing all their schedules and all of that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. If you have younger kids and they're in sports and things, forget it. It is very hard. It does. Young people, if you're listening, it does become easier when the kids get older.
It does.
And especially if you don't have to be at every sporting event or.
Yeah. But, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, and so maybe I'll say that, I'll verbalize it here in case if there's a younger mom listening, I think that I would say, Tracy, maybe you do need a little bit of a break. It doesn't have to be a week. It could just be a weekend. It could be just a day.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I will say, because I was saying when we were discussing this before that I hadn't taken girls' trips before, I really had, so my parents had a cottage, so I would take a friend up or, a couple friends, things like that. I'd go down to my cousins. But yes, they were just quick weekend things or things like that. But it was such a a respite for me.
Yeah.
And if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody gonna be happy.
Yeah.
So I think that those were good ways that I was able to kind of replenish.
Yeah.
And it was good for all of us.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Is in terms of the benefits of the trip for me, like my favorite parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely would say the laughs. Laughter, as we know, is it's impossible to think about your problems when you're laughing. It's I always call it a spontaneous combustion of your brain.
Yeah.
And it feels so good.
Yeah.
And did you know that I did some research on laughter, and when you're laughing together with someone, it creates a special bond between the people that are laughing together.
Oh.
It really
that
does.
Makes sense.
So those neuro transmitters and stuff, there's some kind of a connection that gives you like a special bond.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what?
What?
I was just thinking, another thing that was, sorry, too, by the way, I think it was on our first day. In fact, I know it was. We all went and got...
What?
We all went and got a pedicure.
Oh, we did.
Okay.
We did.
So that's just nice in itself. But we had some really good laughs there, too. I just remembered you got a picture of me. We got massages in the chair.
We did.
And so those were we just had some silly moments at that time. But that was one of my highlights, too. That was so funny. That was on our first day.
It was great. And you know what? I will put some pictures in, if you're on my email list, because, some listeners may not be connected to the email. If you're on my email list, I'll send out an email with just a few pictures of our trip, and I'll send one. Is it okay if I send the one of you?
No.
I shouldn't send that one?
Well,
the one where you're laughing really hard in the pedicure chair.
Yeah. That's
that
fine.
One. She was cracking up so hard.
It was hilarious.
Even the workers there were like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with this lady?
Yeah. So Joan and I were sitting on one side together next to each other, and Tracy and Angie were on opposite sides. So she was able to get a good picture from across the way.
It's great. And I think it encapsulates just sort of the fun.
The kind of laughter we had.
Exactly. And it was totally unplanned, spontaneous, and unexpected. Cathrine and I were going to go get pedicures before we left. And I had said, why don't we see if Joan wants to go with us, and we'll do that as an activity when we're there.
Right.
I'm so glad we did.
Yeah.
And our toes needed it. We had alligator feet. I did. I had alligator feet.
Speaking of alligators, we saw an alligator on our last day.
Yeah, this morning.
We were waiting all week to see an alligator because Joan lives there's a little lake behind her, and we did know that there's an alligator in there, and I saw a glimpse of it the one day, but finally on the last day,
I'll put that one in the email as well. But you have to sign up to get my emails in order to get these pictures. So go to my website, tracydegraff.com, and sign up for my emails, and you'll get this. Okay, other than the laughs, my favorite parts of the trip, I think, was just the low-keyness of it. There were no real expectations. There was not an agenda. I personally, that's my preference in terms of travel. I don't like to be rushed. I don't like to have a scheduled, oh my gosh, we have to get here, we have to get there.
Yeah, I would say, too, that we all were very mindful of each other's, likes and dislikes.
We were.
So we were all like, well, that's okay. If you want to do that, we'll do that. This idea or that idea.
Yeah.
And so that was nice too, because we were all pretty chill about
Yeah, and
things.
other people might love the idea of a structured agenda where they can see as much as they can in one day. That's fine. But, if you're going to go on one of these trips, maybe make sure that you're going with like-minded people, and maybe talk about that before you make a plan. And we didn't really discuss it, but we've been friends for decades.
Well, yeah, we kind of know each other's thing. Yeah.
And so here's an example. We wanted to go to this one restaurant that was right on the water.
Oh, yeah.
And so first of all, we had to get there and we had to park, and that was an ordeal because parking was really limited. When we finally got up to the hostess table, they said it would be an hour wait.
Yeah.
Well, for some people, they might be like, there's no way I'm waiting an hour to get seated at this restaurant, But we were like, oh, ain't no thing. Let's wait.
We'll just hang out.
So
and
we hung
enjoy.
out.
Right.
And we met some new friends from Illinois. There's a lot of people from Illinois and Florida. Just saying.
They're
all down there. They're all retired.
Well, we also learned that 1,200 people a day move to Florida.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Friends. So anyway, I really enjoyed the laid backness of our trip, and I really enjoyed the laughs of our trip, and I want to do it again. I definitely want to schedule it again. Oh, and
Joan, if you're listening.
Yeah, right. And we cleaned Joan's ceiling fans.
Yes.
I don't know how we got talking about the ceiling fans.
She casually mentioned something about, well, I haven't cleaned the ceiling fans yet. Just in casual conversation.
And then one of us said, well, we'll do it while we're here because you don't want her up on a ladder and there's three of us.
Well, and it's the least we could do.
Well, hello.
Yeah.
I mean, she gave up her house so we could be there.
The whole time we were there, I kept thinking about all the hair that you and I lose from our, and I thought, oh, I feel so bad because we have so much hair. And I kept trying to pick it up in the bathroom when I would see it, but
she was very gracious.
Yeah.
So we cleaned her ceiling fans. So then we left her a little gift as we parted, a little birthday gift, and I put on the note, P.S. See you next April to clean those ceiling fans because we'll come back.
Yes.
So it was fun.
Great. You know what else I loved?
What's
too?
that?
I loved every morning just sitting around having coffee and
that was
talking.
Great. Mm-hmm.
Like I love, actually, anytime I've done a getaway, because we've done Wisconsin Dells getaways with Linda, our friend, Linda Sneed.
Yeah, we have.
And those have been like our church friends, church family.
And that has been very good.
That has been wonderful. And but those are much needed things too. Those are great for bonding and fellowship. But anyway, that's one of my favorite things up there too. It's just in the morning, sit around and have coffee and chat.
Yeah. Oh, and one of the things that Angie did ask both of us, she asked us, is there anything that we haven't done that you'd really like to do? Because she goes down there quite a bit since her mom lives there.
Yeah.
And Cathrine and I were both like, we're game for anything, and
except fishing. I don't think either.
Well, that's true. That's true. But she didn't suggest the fishing.
No, she didn't. No.
I think she knows us.
I think she knows,
at least.
Yeah. But when she goes with her hubby, they go fishing a lot. I used to really love fishing, but I kind of didn't want to really do it.
I wanted to mention too, my mother-in-law, Claudia, years ago, when my kids were real little, she's a teacher. She was a retired teacher. Okay. But so whenever she was on break, I don't remember if it was her spring break or if it was summer break, but she and a handful of other ladies, they weren't all teachers, but they were friends. They would go on, I think they called it something like it was their beach bag book, like tour or vacation. And they did it on like over and over. I don't know how many years, but the rules of the vacation were they were going to be on the beach. They were only bringing one carry-on bag. They weren't waiting for luggage to come down they weren't checking bags. And they had to bring a good books to read.
That's right.
And they were all readers.
That's right. We were going to plan one of those, weren't we?
Well, I think we just did it. We just did.
Similar. Yeah.
I mean, I brought a book, but I didn't read it.
Right.
I read parts of it. That was it.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm getting at is figure out what your thing is and go and do that thing.
Yeah. And now that I think about it, I think a lot of gal pals get away and do scrapbooking.
Oh,
even to this day.
Yeah. Our friend Lisa did that for years. I don't know if she still does.
That. Right.
Yeah, whatever it is. Maybe you love photography, or maybe you love cooking, or maybe you love live theater. You know, go for a weekend somewhere and experience the live theater with your friends.
You know, speaking of that, theater, I think about my mother-in-law, and I think about all the times that she has gone. So her and her friends are widows. And so they go, now since the pandemic, they haven't as much.
Right.
But I just see the rewards in the way, the whole disposition of my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And that's something that they always do. And I think that's such a good for their health. It goes right back to good health and just
and warding off loneliness.
Life. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's really needed. All right, we got to move along here because your husband is almost home.
Yes.
Look on your 360 thing, see where he's at.
Yeah. You know what? Good
okay,
idea.
I'm just going to give these little tips, and then we're going to head into the spiritual, inspirational close. All right, here are some tips. If you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a girls' trip. Number 1, carve out the time. Just carve it out and prioritize it and you know, get it done. Make it happen. And as we already said, make sure that the people that you're going with, and maybe it would be good to start out with just a group of 2 or 3 and not more than that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to go on a gigantic 20-person.
I guess it just depends on what season
what you like
in life, what you like.
Well, do you, but that wouldn't be me. Okay. Number 2, make it a doable budget for everybody. Be mindful of that.
And because everybody's got different financial
resources, and you don't want to plan a dinner that's going to cost
put stress on somebody
craziness.
Else. Like, oh, how am I going to pay for that?
Yeah. And also make it a doable length of time for all involved. You don't want to be gone too long. And I put on here, plan ahead. You know, make a plan in terms of if there are activities that you really want to do, look into it and plan those. Make sure that the place is open. Make sure that, you know, if you don't need reservations or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you just want to be chill, then make that your plan. We're just going to be chill.
Yeah. Talk to each other about it first.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Yeah.
All right.
And what would you say to somebody who feels like tremendous guilt leaving family behind? Because I know that there are people out there that feel like they can't go just because they've got this guilt that they put on themselves, or maybe their significant other puts guilt on them.
Well, I would definitely encourage anyone to work on that relationship, because if guilt is a driver in a relationship, then it probably needs to be worked on a bit, whether it's inner work on ourselves or if it's, you know, within the couple, some external work, and then negotiate and come up with a win-win for both parties. So maybe the guilt is warranted in terms of, if I abandoned my husband with 5 children to take care of for a week so that I could go and play sequence with my friends.
Yeah, or if it was something that you did a lot.
Right, to put ourselves in financial jeopardy or something. I mean, so you can go all over the map there, but I would just say good communication and good balance is probably where you want to go.
That's exactly.
And if you can't get there, then you probably need to do a lot more inner work so that you can find a way to get there. Because maybe you won't be able to take a week-long trip. Maybe it'll just be a day trip, girl's day trip. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yes.
Oh, this has been fun. Let's do the scripture.
Let's do the scripture. Kenny's
is he home?
He's not far. He's coming around the bend.
Is he? Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Who's that?
That's not me.
Oh, they want me to sub. I'm not coming. I'm not coming. Turn it off. I signed up to be a substitute teacher, and I don't want to do it.
Oh,
I turned him
Tracy.
off. Okay, decline. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anyway,
scripture.
Lord help me. Okay, Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 15. And this is the new,
a good one.
Yeah, it's a New Living Translation. It says this: "So I recommend having fun, because there is nothing better for people in this world than to eat, drink, and enjoy life. That way, they will experience some happiness along with all the hard work God gives them under the sun.
That's right. And in another scripture in Ecclesiastes, it says it's a gift from God. So, and God wants to give us gifts.
Yes.
He sure
So
does.
go enjoy
so
it.
Perfect. Okay. And call to action. It's pretty much what we said.
Do it.
Just go ahead and try to
it.
plan that for yourself.
Book it, Dano.
All right.
You've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraff.
I'm still Cathrine.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.